Sydnee Floyd, what, and I put this out to a couple people. I said, there are people in our life that, well, for me, I know that there'll be certain people who come up in my life and they just rock my world. They inspire me, just how big they are, what they do despite obstacles, challenges. They're just out there doing and making a difference. And when I came across you, and I never met you, Deb Bostwick said, you have to have Sydnee Floyd on your show, so to speak. She's amazing. And you and I talked on Zoom. I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, Sydnee, you have to be on here. So before we get into just your topic, tell us a little bit about who you are.
So who am I? Well, I obviously am a very extroverted person. I love helping other people. I love to make people laugh, and it could be by the corniest jokes ever that I just think are so funny and no one else thinks they're funny. I love to hang out with my mama. She's one of my best friends ever. I am an only child, and my mom is a single parent, so we kind of tackle life together. I am a junior in high school. I will be 16 in 2 days, and I work at Chick-fil-A, so I am still a normal teen who has a job and who loves to be involved in clubs and go to the football games and just be involved with my friends.
So how did your website, and just talking, you've always had this heart to just serve and help. And even though you're gonna be 16 in 2 days, you're still 15, and it still blows me away what you do. 4 years old, that's the earliest you remember that you just love to help people. What happened, and how did you just make this your mission in life?
My whole life has always been revolved around community service. When I was younger, my mom and I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, and when we were there, everyone just did not have what I had. I was just very fortunate. My grandparents also worked at the small college there. My mom worked there. So I had everything that I could ever imagine, as a little girl. And my mom worked at the college, and so she was in charge of all of the athletes and all of their community service. And so when we were there and I would just kind of tag along with her, she would always kind of let me be with her. And, I would hug her knee real tight, because I was nervous or anything. But then I would get very used to being around the college kids, and I would want to go help with them. So I learned how to make essential boxes, with toiletries and with Christmas gifts for the kids in my community, or, just collecting money for the Cancer Society or Heart Association, because I just thought that's what everybody did. And then I kind of learned that not everyone did that, and I didn't understand that, because I was like, I had always grown up around that. That's what my mom had always taught me. Well, then when I got into school and I was a little bit older, second grader, third grader, I started seeing that my friends didn't have what I had, and that they didn't have the clothes, or they didn't have the food. The only food they would get would be in the cafeteria during school hours, and they would be wearing the same clothes 2 or 3 times a week. And so I started seeing that, and I started seeing, wait, I have all of this stuff, but they don't. And so I started asking the tough questions when I was very, very young. Started asking my mom, why do people wear the same clothes every day? Why do people always shove down their food super quick? Why do they always look dirty? Why do they smell? And when you think about these questions, you kind of like, well, probably because they don't have anything. But to a little kid, it's a lot more complicated to explain. So my mom started talking to me about how people were not as fortunate as us, and how people just were not as lucky as us. So then I decided I would give some of my clothes away, or I would pack an extra lunch or two. Mom never understood where all that food was going. She thought I ate it all. And I do like food, but, sometimes it was for other people. So then, fast forward a couple years, I kept doing that for a couple years. And then Right before we moved to Nashville in 2016, my mom and I went back to our small town in Kentucky, and my mom had been running this event called Shoes for the Soul. She planned it and organized it and started it herself. Very proud of her for that because it took a lot of planning. And that last year, we put shoes and socks on 500 kids' feet. We also gave them a bag of school supplies, and they got to come on the college campus and play games with all of the college students. And for anyone watching, most of those kids, that was the only time they will ever step foot on that college campus or any college campus, which is heartbreaking because all of those students deserve education. All of those students deserve to have friends and to have the full college experience. But they didn't because of their parents. They didn't have the money. They didn't have what we had. Well, that last year, my mom and I went back down, and I was 10 years old at the time, and she finally let me run the back room. And so the back room, what that was, and that's where all the shoes, the socks, the school supplies, everything was located. That's where it all was. And so I had a bunch of college students with me, and then it was me. And I got to boss around the college students.
At 10 years old.
At 10 years old, I got to boss around the college students. And that was the best moment of my life right there, just in that moment. Well, then, towards the end of the event, this little girl and the football player came up with there. They had washed her feet and everything, but we ran out of our shoe size. Sometimes if kids couldn't come because their parents wouldn't let them, schools would substitute it for another kid, but not let us know. So shoe sizes weren't always distributed evenly. So we did the best we could. But we ran out of her shoe size, so we gave her 2 sizes too big. And they were glittery and all pretty, and so we put them on her, and she was kicking her feet on the table. She was so excited for these new shoes. And then she turned to me, and she goes, "I want to be like you one day." And in that moment, and in that very, very moment, and I will tell this story till the day I die, I knew what I was doing in helping others was made for me for the rest of my life.
At 10 years old, it just like you, every time, the first time I talked to you and now you choke me up because I feel your heart. I sense just your giving spirit. And I've had the opportunity at times to give without any expectation, just because I knew my heart, like I had this, like, you need to do something. And then to watch the ripple effect. I told my husband once, I said, I want to make it my life goal of being like one of those angels that go out and just touch people's lives, and people have no idea who's doing it. But
Right.
something so magical about giving, and it opens up. So we're meant to give.
We are.
And I look at, even in this time, in the midst of the pandemic, with all the chaos, with all the racial tension and the political upheaval, and lives have completely shifted. We have to be hope. We have to figure out how to give and to reach people who they don't know. I mean, you think about it, people don't know until someone pours into them.
They don't know unless you show them. They don't know unless you show them the facts. You show them personal stories. You show them videos. You show them your heart. I've always had people who will come to me years and years later, and they're like, because of you, I want to help people, or I want to be nicer to people. And that just makes my heart go all fuzzy and, make me choke up, because those people saw my story and they wanted to help others because of that. And for anyone listening or going to watch this later, you have to know that you can make the difference. I hate when people say, well, I can't write $1 million check, so I can't make a difference. I'm going to tell you something. That $1 million check, yes, it will go to do amazing work, but you guys can make the bigger difference in someone's life right now. A $5 toiletry kit can not only save one person's life, but it can also give them hope and also keep them from committing suicide, from committing, going back to drugs and alcohol, especially if they're on the streets. That $5 toiletry bag and a positive note, if you write a positive note in there, can save someone's life.
It's
Same
not
thing.
what we do, it's how we do it, and it's being that light, right? People can, they can say the right things, they can, you know, put it out there, but if you're not willing to live and to do, you know, it's one thing to give a $5 bill and it's another thing to actually put something together. It's your time, and time is so valuable. You know, I
It
go
is.
back when you were saying, you know, when you were young and you were grabbing a hold of your mom's leg and she taught you how to give. So she taught you that giving was just this natural part of your life, and it created this desire in you. And as a child, we don't see the differences. We don't see how we're different from another person until somewhere around like 6, 7 years old, something happens. Maybe somebody says something and we wake up, and all of a sudden you're like, they smell, or they're wearing the same clothes every day. And you're at a crossroad at that moment as what you're going to do. So you fast forward and you're putting things together, and where did Jumbled Dreams come from? You were 13 years old, right, when you started this nonprofit at 13 years old?
Yeah. So anytime I kind of tell my story, it always leads back to the little girl. And from the time I was 10 to 13, my mom and I moved to Nashville. So that was a big deal. We went from really small town hillbilly girls to really big town, still hillbilly girls. But when we came to Nashville, I saw that people lived on the streets. And in Kentucky, everyone had a home, or most of them did, but they just didn't have the clothes or the food. But here in Nashville, we see that not only do they not have a home, they're living on the streets. They don't have clothes. They don't have, shampoo, conditioner. They don't have food. They don't have anything. It's just them, maybe a backpack of their personal belongings that they have left, and maybe an animal, because some of them have dogs or cats. And that's it. And that's what you see. For anyone watching, you can probably relate. You can see them anywhere on the streets all across the country. It's not just Nashville. Nashville, yes, there is a homeless problem. LA, there's a homeless problem. New York, there's a homeless problem. In a small town, there's a homeless problem. Homelessness is not just defined by not having a home. Homelessness is defined by not having the basic necessities to survive. And we all have these basic necessities, but we just take them for granted. And it hurts me every time you see people who just throw away half-used bottles of shampoo, half-used bottles of conditioner, throw away your extra food. I'm guilty of that. I waste food. I'm really bad about that. But then I look at it and I'm like, well, this food could have went and helped someone else if I wouldn't have wasted it. Something so simple. Something that has an expiration date on it is actually good for longer. Food banks have actual regulations that they can take food for longer and that it's good for longer. So if you're not going to eat the beans in the back of your pantry, donate them. If you're not going to use the shampoo or conditioner that's been in your closet for 2 years, donate them. If you're going to use all of that, go to the store and buy the 50-cent cans of tuna, or buy the 50-cent thing of shampoo at the dollar store. Put all that together, that costs $5. You know how many lives you're saving? $2 in Nashville equals 8 meals provided to a person in need. 8. Your $2 is quadrupled. And everywhere else, they have the same statistics. And it's really, really awesome. You just got to know where to start. And that's the hardest part. And that's, for me, when creating Jumbled Dreams, was the hardest part. Where is the need? I want to help homeless people. Obviously, that's my passion. But also, I saw another need. In the town I live in now, I am surrounded by people who have everything they could possibly want and more. I am not one of those people. My mom and I still, we live paycheck to paycheck and we're surviving. We're okay with that. But for other people, they are very well off. And so I saw that 99.9% of my friends had never, ever volunteered before in their life. I moved here my 7th grade year, so I was 12, getting ready to turn 13. And none of them had ever volunteered. And when that sinks into your head, you see the bigger need. All of these teens learn from their parents. We learn from our parents. We learn from our grandparents. We learn from them. They learn from them. It's a pattern. That's how things work. We also learn from society, social media. We learn from that. So, if their parents aren't teaching them, how about their friends could teach them? So when you look at Jumbled Dreams is not just helping the homeless. It's helping people find their passion of making a difference. Not just teens, but adults, but little kids starting at the age of 4 or younger. And having them find what they like to do. Not everyone likes helping the homeless. Some people want to help animals. People want to help cure cancer. Some people, want to help, just people in the poverty line. There's so many different ways you can help. You just have to find that right passion. And so that's why Jumbled Dreams was created. So in 2018, we created Jumbled Dreams. My mom and I did together. I am the founder and executive director, but I couldn't do it without my mama. And we created this so we could teach people not only what I'm doing and how they can help me, but how they can start their own project all across the country, all across the world. And it's just so cool when you get letters or you get emails or you get just direct messages on social media saying, your project's really cool. How can I help? Or how can I start my own project?
So you've had over 25 organizations that you've partnered with within Jumbled Dreams. How do you get these other organizations? How do they come to you?
In the nonprofit world, it is very, very hard to fundraise and to find good friends. And these 25 organizations not only found me through social media, but we also found them. We always are looking for people to partner with and to become friends with. Some of them I have never met, but I am like the closest friends with because we're all in this together. And I know that is one of the most cliche sayings of all time, but it is. We cannot make a difference. One person cannot just make a difference. It has to be everyone band together. Everyone tells me I'm making a difference, but it is because of people like you watching this that I am able to make the difference I am. You guys have to support me. I have to have donations. Yes, I can donate all of my stuff, but if I want to keep this going, I have to have your support, your love, and most importantly, your heart. Once you open your heart up, the world is limitless on how many people you can help. It just takes that time.
Renee Birkland just said, you go girl. I'm like, yes, do you see why I have her on here? So life hasn't been easy for you. It's one thing to be a giver and you and your mom are twiddle-dee and twiddle-dum and you're out there saving the world. But what most people don't know is that you have health challenges. So tell us about your health challenges.
So it's a really long list, but when I was younger, I was actually in and out of the hospital a lot, and no one knew what was going on with me. I would be fine sitting here on this interview, and 30 minutes later have a 104-degree fever, and just not being able to talk, not being able to walk. It was really, really bad. No one understood what was wrong, and no one believed my mom. And they were like, oh, but she's fine. I just saw her 30 minutes ago. And my mom would always be like, yeah, and now she's running 104-degree fever. I was in and out of the hospital, just test after test, scan after scan, just trying to figure out what was wrong. Well, turns out I'm kind of a unique medical case. I have numerous things wrong with me. I have a whole extra loop in my colon, which obviously makes it harder to go to the bathroom all the time. I have hydrocephalus stage 2, which is too much fluid on my brain. And if it gets any worse, then I have to have a shunt put in. I also have EDS, so it's called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. So that is when my connective tissue, so my bones to my tendons, are too loose. And so that connective tissue, if it can tear very easily, and so therefore I can break my bones very easily. I also have PFABA, which causes the fevers. And so PFABA is also a genetic disorder. And so I get fevers, I get lymph nodes the size of golf balls, my throat swells shut, and I have to sleep for about 24 to 48 hours because there's no medicine to cure it. And then I also have allergies and asthma, like every other kid in America. So I do have a lot, but all of that is under control now. And it also made me very thankful for healthcare workers. And it made me very thankful for the nurses and the doctors and the volunteers who came in and played with me while I was sick in the hospital. And it was just so heartwarming to have those people who would bring me the teddy bear or the pillow or, the little coloring books, just so I wouldn't feel so alone. Because you can have your parents there all the time, but sometimes you just need to be, you need a friend. And so health conditions also made it very, very hard for me. Well, then in 2010, my parents divorced, and that was really, really hard. My dad is still in my life, and we still talk, but our relationship is not the best. And so it's pretty much just me and my mom, and her and I trying to conquer the world together. This world is not an easy place to live in. And so having divorced parents also gives me a different perspective on life. Being an only child gives me a different perspective on life because it shows me that you never know the battle someone is fighting on the inside. So if you're being mean to someone on social media, even if you don't post about it and you're just saying it behind a screen, think about be in their shoes for a minute. What battle might they be fighting? What battle are you secretly fighting inside of you to be mean to other people? I've been bullied because of that, because of my parents' divorce. And then I've been bullied because I'm a leader and I want to make a difference. People telling me that I should die and that what I'm doing is totally wrong. And none of these people can say it to my face. They all hid behind a screen and told me that. So, what battle are they fighting on the other side of the screen? And then think about that before the next time you start to say something mean about someone, or the next time you start to judge someone because how they look. Because no one can help what they look like. People try their best. Everyone is beautiful in their own way. We're all unique. But what's funny about that statement is we are all 99.9% genetically the same. But it's that 0.01% that makes you, Mary, and I, and me so much different. And that is so cool to think about. And so when people are like, oh, I'm so sorry for your health conditions. I mean, I wish I never had them too, but they make me unique. They make me cool. It's really cool to say you have a whole extra loop in your colon.
That's crazy. It's adversity, right? And we're always at choice. People are at choice. And they can say, man, I've been given a bad hand. Or this is the hand I've been dealt. And how do I make the best of my life? We all have a choice. And you talk about bullying. And you and I had this conversation. It was the weirdest thing because before you and I talked, I started thinking back in my life. And I was always made fun of. I was raised in a super strong Christian family, and the church I was raised in, we were different. Like we were, it was like the Protestants where you couldn't cut your hair, you had to wear dresses all the time, no makeup, and I got made fun of all the time. And my parents got divorced, and it was around fifth grade when my mom stopped going to the church, and so she let me wear pants, and I thought I was the coolest thing ever, because as a kid, you just want to fit in, and not just
Exactly.
kids, adults want to fit in too. And I remember there was a girl who came to my school, and her name was Gloria Chadwick. To this day, I still remember her, and she was Baptist, and she was different, and she was how I was raised in a way. She had to wear dresses all the time and couldn't cut her hair, and I started picking on her. And I remember flinging peas. I mean, it still hurts me, right? Because underneath, I'm like this good person, but I was hurting and I wanted to be accepted. And so the way I thought to be accepted is if I started picking on Gloria. I have no idea where she's at. I wish I could apologize to her. I've actually looked her up on social media and just tell her I'm so sorry, because we have no idea the actions or inactions of what we do, how we truly impact somebody else. And for someone to do a hate, on social media is horrible now because there's no filters. You have no idea if it's anonymous or what's going on. How did you deal with that?
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie, I cried about it because how could someone say those mean things? And then I realized, wait, what if I shared my story of bullying and not only inspired others to not bully, but to stand up to them and turn my bullying story into motivation for helping more people? Which everybody probably listening would be like, she is the craziest girl alive for ever thinking that. Like in their head, I could hear them saying, well, but why would you want to do that? Why would you want to help people who are mean to you? Because they need some love.
They're hurting.
They're hurting, just like your story. You were hurting and you retaliated because you couldn't help it. It's just one, kind of how it came to you. You can't help what happens. And our emotions kind of take over sometimes.
Oh,
You
they
just
do.
can't help it. It happens to me all the time. Emotions just take over. But then I have to step back and I have to see, how can my story impact others? And so for anyone watching, I know everyone has either experienced bullying, been a bullier themselves, or been a bystander and watched it happen. And you know what? I personally forgive you. Even if you don't know me, you need forgiveness. Because I know I carry the guilt around any little bad thing I do. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not perfect. I've been mean to people. And I carry that guilt around with me. And so you need someone to forgive you. So I forgive you. And then the next thing you should do is advocate for others. Admit your truth. And then other people will follow. It is amazing how many people will tell me, I've been bullied too. I've just been so scared to say it. Or I was mean to someone too. Craziest thing is, a couple weeks ago on social media, I shared my bullying story for everyone to see. I have shared it live before, but I've never had it written down before. And I shared it. This girl who was mean to me in middle school messaged me and apologized for how mean she was. And then what she told me is that she was going through a really rough time with her family. And that's why she ended up moving a couple years later. And that she just thought I had the perfect life. So she didn't think that was fair. She didn't like how close my mom and I were. And she apologized for all of that. And she goes, what you're doing is really amazing. I admitted my truth, she admitted her truth, which is really, really powerful.
And the truth sets you free.
And it does. And you feel that less guilt.
I remember, even as an adult, in what you said, people are hurting, but we have no idea what's happening. And I remember going through my own stuff, and usually when you're going through stuff, you don't want other people to know what's going on. And there was a lady I was working with, and she looked, first of all, she had her life was just total chaos. And all of a sudden she comes to work one day and she's got her life together. She goes, I went to church, I asked for forgiveness. I want to be a different person. I decided to make it my point in life to see if I could get her to interrupt, to go back. And I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I cruel? It's like, my girlfriend used to say, it's like, you have two different personalities like this. And I was like, this isn't okay. But what I realized is because when she got better, it highlighted all the stuff that was going on in me. And that's what I really believe. That's why we pick, or that's why we bully. That's why we make fun. That's why we poke holes, is because we want to prove underneath that we're good enough. And if we can find someone else who we think isn't, the best, or we can figure out how to get them to stumble, then it makes us okay to be where we're at.
Yeah, and that you're not insecure, because being insecure in today's society is not okay. Owning your truth in today's society is not okay. Saying your truth on social media is not okay. It's all about the likes. It's all about the comments. And it's not about what you want to post, or it's not about what you want others to see. And it's really, really hard, because I fall in that same pattern, because I am a high schooler, I am a teenager, and I easily fall in the pattern too of how many likes I get on social media and how many, comments I get, or how many followers I have. But you know what matters to me the most now, realizing, is that even if it was just one person following me, I could make a difference in that one person's life by sharing my story. And for anyone watching, your following base, half of them are probably in there just to be nosy about you. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
I mean, that's what social media is to be nosy about other people. But even that one person in your 1,000 following base, or 10,000 or 1,000,000, if you can touch one person's life, you've made a difference. If you just say, I am here for you, I promise you, someone will need to hear that. Or if you just say, you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are kind, you are loved, that could keep someone from committing suicide. Which is so crazy to think about, because those are just words. So what does it mean by actions? So what can you do by actions? Right now, COVID has made it very hard to see people in person. But if you know someone across the country or in another state who's struggling, give them a call, give them a text. Just say, hi, I was thinking about you today. I hope you're doing fine. If they don't respond back, that's their own problem. But at least you know that you tried, and that they know that they were cared for and that they were thought of. You could send them letters in the mail. You could just post something on social media, but it be positive and not just about you. I love social media for that reason, that I can post not just about me, but on Jumbled Dreams' social media, I can share personal stories of who we've helped, or I can share just positive quotes to make people, have motivation for the week. Because Mondays are always hard. Like, let's be honest, Mondays are difficult. And just those little motivational quotes help.
So with, you talk about suicide and suicide prevention. Do you have an organization that you partner with to help that?
So I do. We have two different organizations actually right now. We have one called Stand for the Silent, and the executive director of that organization, his son actually committed suicide because the kids were bullying him at school. And the saddest part is that no one ever caught the bullying until he fought back.
Mm.
And he was suspended, and the bully had no harm at all. And so he now advocates for those who can no longer advocate for themselves. And he travels across the country telling people about his personal story with it, but also other stories. Then I have an organization called Positive Change Project. And the girl who runs it, her name is Sarah, and she is a senior in college. And her and I together have made Positive Dream Project. And what Positive Dream Project is a anti-bullying and suicide awareness podcast. So every 2 weeks, we have guest speakers on from anti-bullying organizations or just people sharing their personal stories. Then we have an anonymous portal where people can share their stories of bullying or injustices or sexual assault or suicide. And we share their stories. It's anonymous. We have no clue who sent these. But what's cool is that their stories right now are inspiring other people.
Well, give them hope, right?
Yes, it gives them hope, knowing that they are not alone, that other people have gone through this. And Positive Dream Project has just opened my eyes, because I knew people were bullied before because I was one of them. But the amount and people who were around me, because we asked for their city and state, and I see Kentucky, Tennessee, Kentucky, Tennessee. And then one of them said that before I moved away, I was their very best friend. And I had no clue that what they were going through. Just to know, even if they're your friends, you never know the battle someone is fighting. And that's what Jumbled Dreams is all about too. It's all about not only inspiring others to make a difference, but just talking and listening to people. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on the streets, and I'll take my teen volunteers down there, I'll take all my friends down there, and we will hand out stuff, but then they always come and ask me, they're like, can we go talk to people now? Can we go hear their stories? Can we just go hug people? Before COVID, of course.
Glove up, mask up.
Yeah. Because they just want to hear their stories. I have sat on stairs or on the streets of Nashville for hours just listening to their stories. And some of them don't want to talk to you because they're too proud and they're too embarrassed. But some of them, I might be their only human interaction for the week or for the month. And so they just want someone to talk to. And sometimes they might just want to talk about sports or food at first. And then they'll just spill their whole story. It just comes out like a hurricane. They just can't hold it in any longer. And I'm the same way, because I try to hold stuff in because I don't want to burden anybody. But sometimes you have to let that out to make yourself not only feel better, but to be able to help other people. And so it's really cool hearing other stories. And I don't care if it's just we're going to talk about food all day, because, girl, I love food and I am right there with you to talk about it. But if you want to talk about something serious too, I'll be right there with you, and I will cry with you. I will hug you to death, and I will just listen. Sometimes it's not always about talking. Sometimes it's just about listening.
Well, and everyone wants to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to know that they have value. And, looking at this whole, with COVID, the people, it's been even harder because we don't get the connection that we used to. And we're at the place, and I see it across the board, that they're just tired. People are tired. It's like, when can we get back? Well, you know what? The normal isn't going to be normal anymore. It's going to be different. I believe it's going to be even better because we're learning. But again, we have a choice, right? And at the same time, there's so many hurting people. And even what you said, to just sit, to listen, people want to know that you care, or that someone cares.
Yes.
There's a stat, I don't remember the stat, but it's insane, just the suicide rate, or even the suicide thoughts that have happened since COVID. And to be a light to one person. That song by Thomas Rhett, love that song.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And bullying, cyberbullying has increased 75% since COVID started in March.
75%?
75%, which is like mind-blowing, because people don't realize that now everyone's home. It's so much easier to hide behind a screen. And people have all of this free time on their hands because you're stuck at home and you're tired of watching Netflix. So they start scrolling through social media, and then their bullying happens. 75%. And those people who are getting bullied, how many of those do you think who are at home in isolation, have nobody with them, have had those suicide thoughts?
Ugh.
Because they think, no, they're not good enough. No one is checking up on them. No one is, just being home with them. No one is talking to them. And it's heartbreaking to think about.
So,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what would be your advice? What would you tell people? Because again, they don't know. You have all these facts, and I'm learning from you so much. How could you get them to be more aware? What signs could they look for?
It's really hard because every person is different. Every sign is different for every person. And I don't really like giving advice because I don't want someone to come back and say, oh, well, Cindy gave this advice, so it must be right. Because that's not true. Because every person is different. So what I like to do and what I like to tell people is reach out to people. If you see someone not being themselves, then that raises a flag to you. For me, if I'm not being extroverted and laughing all the time or just saying the most silly jokes there is, then you're probably going to know something's wrong with me. But also, I love to tell people is maybe sometimes they just want somebody to talk to, just like you. And so if they don't answer you, like I said earlier, okay, but you tried. Maybe try reaching out to someone once a week, then twice a week, reaching out to a different person every day just to check up on them. Especially the elderly community, because right now they're in the nursing homes by themselves or they're at home by themselves. And they just want to hear from their grandchildren or they want to hear from their sons and daughters. And you're like, oh, well, they're home, so they're fine, so they're not going to get COVID. What about their mental health? What about their hearts? I know my grandparents love to talk to me every day. Moody or not moody, they love to talk to me. I am a teenager. I have my normal, mood swings, but
You're not super, just like, it's like Superwoman, right? It's like the Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I'm not Wonder Woman. We've just kind of figured that out over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I just found out you don't like to do dishes and you don't like to do laundry.
Yes, I'm a normal teenager, just some chores just aren't my thing, But overall, I think it's important that you just reach out to someone. Or you make that $5 toiletry kit with shampoo. You don't even have to put conditioner. We just put them in there. Toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant. Any of those things, those 5 things right there, that's $5 toiletry kit that will make someone's year. We put more stuff in them now, so we put razors, we put lotion in them, we put hand sanitizer, especially COVID time. Hand sanitizer is a great one. We put tissues. We have different bags for different times of the year. And that's because we're a nonprofit, and that's because we give these specifically to people on the streets. But if you want to just carry these in your car, which is a great thing to do, because we all pass homeless people on the streets, and you're all like, well, I don't want to give them money because I don't want them to go buy drugs or alcohol. And we actually don't like to give people money either. We either like to give them a food gift card, so it forces them to go to a restaurant. We like to give them the toiletry kits, or we like to give them snack bags, or we call it fuel bags. So they have non-perishable items in them, so like a water bottle, gummies, crackers, anything that's not going to expire or get ruined in the heat. All of those things are great to carry in your car too. So you can easily just hand them out the window. And those people will be so grateful because they'll actually have food for that night. Or they can go to a local gas station or rest stop and get a shower. I work with an organization that's a mobile shower unit, so they actually hook up to the fire hydrants and we're able to give people showers. But it's so cool how many ways you could help someone just by spending $5 or $2 or spending 30 minutes just driving around your town. We all drive everywhere, so whoever you see, that's who you can hand them out to.
So I'm going to open it up. If anyone has any questions or comments for Sydnee, again, if you're watching on Facebook Live, I can't see them, so I can only see them in Zoom. Put that either in the chat bar if you just have a question, or if you want to be brought in live and have a conversation directly with Sydnee, put that in the Q&A. So what's your next step? So as we're waiting for that, what's your next step? What's your next dream?
So my next dream will first be to conquer high school and then college, but I actually want to become a trauma surgeon because I want to help people in their worst possible moment. And everybody watching is probably, their eyeballs are like this big, like, she really wants to do that? Like, that's super stressful and that's super, crazy. But I do want to help people in so many ways. I want to keep Jumbled Dreams going, obviously, for as long as I can. And I just want to be the person that I truly am and not want to hide behind the screen or behind social media or saying that I'm perfect, because I'm not. It's okay to be an emotional mess. It's okay to be a roller coaster, because we all are. That's all who we are. And that's part of human nature. So I just want to be there for people, and I just want to show them the real me.
Okay, so I have Renee wants to ask you something or tell you something. So Renee, I'm going to bring you in live.
Hey, there, I did it. All right. Sydnee.
Yes.
If I had an extra one of these, girlfriend,
Aww.
it would be yours.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Made notes. All right. First, you don't fit in. You stand out. This is normal for me, so just ignore it.
It's okay. It's normal for me too. Crying is normal.
I vow to have some of those kids in my car because I have seen those people. And I'm embarrassed to say, but it's hard to look at them. And I shy away, but I won't anymore. Okay. Tell me how I can donate to your nonprofit.
I don't want you to donate to us. What I want you to do is I want you to go to the store and I want you to make those kits and I want you to keep them in your car. And then I
absolutely will. You are amazing. Do you know that?
Thank you. I want you to keep those. I do not want you to worry about donating to me because they will go to help the people in Nashville, but the people in your community need it just as much as we do. And so you can start being an advocate for those who need it. You can tell all of your friends. You can tell everybody what they need. You can be like, hey, this girl named Sydnee, this really crazy girl, just told me to go make these snack bags and these toiletry kits. And now you can go make a difference too. They only cost $5. And you know how many more people you will help because of that?
Oh, I absolutely will, because every time we go see my mother-in-law, the same two people are right there. And my husband has actually taken an envelope and put money in it, and he'll hand it to them. And I guess I'm kind of nervous to do that. And I'm still a little nervous to do it, but I will. I promise you I will. You've inspired me to do that.
Well, thank you. Money is hard to get. And interacting with homeless people is also hard because there's so many stereotypes about them, first of all, because
there are a lot.
Everyone thinks they're druggies and alcoholics. And I want to tell you, they're not. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, I have met some of them, but they're not all that way. Most of the time, they're just people like us three who I can see and everyone else watching who are just like us, who who either wanted, to have a good job and have a family and have a life, but lost their way. Or even worse, in Tennessee, 10% of the homeless population are veterans. We let these people come and fight for our country. And when they come back, they're almost on the streets. We just don't care about them anymore.
Yep.
And it's hard. And I want to tell you that you're amazing for admitting your truth and for admitting that you shy away from them. Because you know how hard that is? How many people will not admit that? Because they're too proud. And you know what? I think it's better to be more vulnerable. I think it's better to cry. I do.
Oh, I've got that down pat. Just ask Mary.
Okay, I do too. I will literally cry. Like I will bawl my eyes out over a TV show. So if I can do it over a TV show, you better bet I can do it over anything else. So I just want to tell you, thank you for admitting your truth, because that means a lot.
You inspired me to do it. So thank you.
So instead of donating to me, I want you to go and make those for the kids in those snack packs.
But she just challenged us. I told you, this girl will challenge you, not just to sit on the sidelines. And it's easy, right? It's easy to say, how can I donate to Jumbled Dreams? No, what you just called us all out on, I don't want your money. I want you to get involved in your own community.
Yep.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Thanks.
Very powerful. That's why I said, you go, girl.
Thank you, Renee. I really appreciate you coming on here too and talking.
Hey, this is not comfortable for me to do. Mary knows it, but it was worth it because you rock.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I've never met you, but I love you.
I don't know if I can do that. I think I can.
You can.
She'll teach you all kinds of things, Renee.
Pardon me?
I said she's going to teach you all kinds of things.
I'm watching.
Thank you.
Love you, Renee.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hang on, I got it. Well, I just want to, I'm going to actually hit one more poll just on feedback. And as this comes up, and as we end, I just want to say thank you again, just for your heart. Holy cow, not just your heart. You are someone, and I say you're 15, you're going to be 16 in 2 days, but you're someone who we all, like, this world would be so much better because if we could take and be and do just the things that you're doing. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but the more you do it, it is the giver's gain mentality. All of a sudden it just fuels you, right? And it's almost like, I think we get more out of giving at times than the other person receiving. But we come from it from a place like, I just want to give to you and make a difference.
Yes.
Like, fill up, going, oh, this is addicting.
Yeah, it is. It's addicting. It is like a drug. Like when you help people, it just gets more and more addicting. Like now, if I can't help people, then it drives me up the wall. Like I can't just stay home when people out there need me. Like I just can't do it. And so, yeah, I challenge everybody. And yeah, I will make you uncomfortable and I will make you come out of your comfort zone. But when I've done that to my friends, now they go on the streets and they don't even need me anymore. They can just go off on their own. They will leave there crying every time because we just don't want to leave those people on the streets. We just want to hug them, and we're like, come on, just come home with us. That's what we want to do all the time. And so, yeah, I do make people uncomfortable, but that's for your benefit, and that's for you to find that drug in you, to find that addiction in you, to help other people. And so it's humbling to be the person, like, talking about this, but it's also humbling for the other person also. And yes, you were totally right. I think I'm more excited half the time than the people getting it are. I mean, they will look at me and like, why are you so energetic? Like, why? And I think that intimidates people a little bit too, because I just think it kind of, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much ball of energy right here, just wants to help you. But that ball of energy just keeps fueling my fire and keeps making me want to go more and more and more.
Your mama raised such a powerful young woman, and everything we do makes a difference. Everything we do matters. And I'm just so grateful for you. As we close this, I don't know if someone, hang on. Oh, somebody has something they want to say to you, so hold on one second.
Okay.
There we go.
Baby girl.
Hi, Mama.
You did pretty good.
Oh, thanks. I talked about you a few times, so I guess that made it okay.
You can lay off that a bit. I don't think they need to know all about me. It's about you.
I think they do.
But I think you forgot to tell them about how you came up with the name for Jumbled Dreams. I think they should know about that.
It's a funny story, actually. It's not like a really meaningful story, I guess. Oh, I mean, it is. It came, obviously, the name of Jumbled Dreams. But it's a funny story how it all happened. So I was coming back from a fall retreat from a Christian camp, and I finally told my mom, I was like, Mom, I have to create a nonprofit. I was like, I can't hold off any longer. I can't do this anymore. I was like, I can't just sit here. I was like, I can't just do this anymore. I can't just be not who I am. And so my mom and I were sitting in the car, and she goes, Sydnee, I want to tell you something. And when she does that voice, I get always scared. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen next? And she told me, she goes, I actually had a dream about you starting this last night. She goes, I dreamed of you starting your nonprofit, and it had something to do with dreams. So my mom dreamed, so dream, last part, and it always had something to do with accomplishing my dreams and others' dreams. She said that, and I was like, well, dreams, got to stay that. And so that's how dreams came to be. Then we knew changing lives. So the full name of Jumbled Dreams is Jumbled Dreams Changing Lives. It's kind of a mouthful, so that's why we kind of just say Jumbled Dreams. But changing lives, we always knew that we wanted to have that because we are changing lives. But the jumbled part is the funniest part, is we actually Googled on thesource.com a synonym for mixed because we knew not everyone had the same dreams. Because my mom and I don't have the same dreams. We don't. And we'll be totally honest about that. We don't. And so we were like, okay, so what about mixed dreams? Well, that doesn't sound good. So we were like Googling on thesaurus synonyms for mixed. And then we found jumbled. And then we just knew right then and there that that was our name. So it's kind of a funny story how it came to be. But that is our name. And that is how it came to be by thesource.com and my mom dreaming while she's sleeping. So there you go.
And it just fits. So everything that you've shared, it truly is. It's a mix. It's a jumble of all kinds of dreams working together, right? It's not about one person. It's we all, and I love what you said on your website. You said something about we all have dreams. Like everyone wants to make a difference, but if we can come together and if we can mix our dreams with each other, how many more lives can we touch?
Exactly. And that's the whole point, because we all have these different dreams. And it could be to be a millionaire one day, or it could be just to be a social worker, or just to help as many people as you can. And if you stir all of that in the pot with 7 billion people on this earth, you know how many people we can help?
Oh, yeah.
And it's so cool. And so, yes, our name is kind of funny how it came to be, but it fits perfectly. And it's just so perfect.
Absolutely. Well,
I'd just like to tell you all one thing. I never really wanted to have kids. I was bullied when I was younger, really, really bad. I was skinny, and I was pretty popular for where we went to school, but I was not athletic at all. Couldn't walk and talk and chew gum at the same time. Couldn't ride a bike. Couldn't jump rope. Couldn't do anything like that. I didn't really want to bring a child into this world because I knew it wasn't going to get any better. And I think we've all experienced that, right? Social media, the world with social media has made it a lot worse. And then I met my ex-husband, who was a 3-sport athlete. Well, of course, everything was just pretty easy for him. And I thought, well, this will be okay. He's had it pretty easy. It'll be great. And then Sydnee came along, which, by the way, guys, for everybody listening, I wanted a boy.
You did.
I absolutely love football, and I wanted a little football player. So the day I found out I was having a girl, I cried. But obviously, God had bigger plans in mind and knew exactly what he was doing and knew exactly the plans that he was making. And knew that it was in his timing and not mine. And I had a really rough pregnancy. And Sydnee and I both crashed. And we both felt it was really hard for us. Sydnee, as she told you, she had a rough childhood. And she's had many illnesses. And she's been really hard on her. When her father left, I really didn't know what I was going to do because I was not prepared to raise Sydnee on my own. The only thing that I was prepared to do was to teach her how to love others, because that's all I really knew, and that's what I was taught my entire life, was to help other people and to make them feel loved. What she has done has gone above and beyond anything that in my wildest dreams, and she's only 15. I'm in total denial that she's going to be 16 in 2 days. So we're not even going to talk about that. I just want to tell you, everybody who's listening, that anybody can do anything if you put your mind to it. You can make a difference. You just have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in that dream. And you have to be willing to know that you are you, just like Sydnee does, and believe in you. I'm just really proud of you, baby.
Thank you, Mama.
And thank you, Mary. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you to everybody listening.
Honored. Yes. Thank you for sharing your daughter with us.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. As we close out, I have just a couple. Sydnee, just thank you. Just thank you. Thank you for making such a difference and for being a light and for challenging us all. And we are definitely going to continue to follow each other and help each other and keep changing lives, girl.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on today and letting me share my story.
You bet. Well, and it empowers other people to do the same, right?
Exactly right.
It's our deepest fear.
Even better, Fight those fears of yours.
Yeah. Well, have a great rest of your week. Have fun going back to school, and happy birthday.
Thank you. My mom is totally right. She is in complete denial. She's not ready for it.
Well, have a good one. And again, thank you for being such a light. Thank you to everyone who's been on here. And we will see you next Tuesday at 12:30.